Behind me is the most interesting bike you'll see on the internet today. This is the Monopole Toolbike, and I can't wait to try this one.
This is my first cargo bike, and I've always wanted one, but it just never felt right for me to have something as big as they historically have been. But when I first laid eyes on the Monopole cargo bike, my perspective shifted completely, because it didn't look too big, it looked playful. And the cargo capacity wasn't overkill for my use, but it's still very elevated from what any of my bikes can handle. Ultimately, it felt like a really refreshing design that invites a cargo bike to be more of an everyday bike as well.
Let's get into it.
Full disclosure, this bike was sent to me from Monopole to test for a 2-month period. All opinions are my own and they're not seeing this video before it releases. Also, no money was exchanged.
That's good, that'll do.
So there wasn't much for me to assemble, but there was a lot for me to look at. Let's start with the belt-driven steering. This hasn't been done before and I was super excited to try it. It seems techie at first glance, but something about it reminds me of the Flintstones and all of their simple but funny inventions for everyday things. I was just fascinated by it. I was also fascinated by how modular the frame is. For example, the bike is built around a pinion gearbox, which you can see here, but that's not mandatory. You can slap an adapter in this bottom bracket area and then run a regular derailleur. The same goes for the front cargo area. Monopole offers 2 different front racks right now and they swap out really fast, just 4 big screws and you're in business. Lastly, I should mention that this bike I'm testing is the personal bike of one of the company's co-founders. So we have the keys to the boss's car, let's go for a ride, and later in the video we'll get into first impressions. I have a handful of cargo quests lined up for this video. The first one was delivering this road bike frame. I actually found this frame on the side of the road and I put a feeler out to anyone who wants it for free because it was getting thrown out. And I got a lot of replies. I learned some interesting things like people making lamps out of road bike frames. So we decided to meet at a coffee shop across town.
Back up. Nice. Jesus Christ. Watch it. Turning radius check. Woo. Pretty good.
For this very first ride, the bike took me maybe 5 minutes to get used to. You might have also noticed the smaller rear wheel. It's 24 inches and the front is 20. For some reason, this bike often gets categorized as a mini-velo cargo bike, but right away my opinion changed on that. It accelerates fast and it feels playful, but it's not mini-velo feeling at all in my opinion. When I compare its geometry to some of my current bikes, I notice the wheelbase is almost the same as my mountain bike and the standover is the same as my current gravel bike. So there was a lot of familiarity right away. It's been way too hot out lately. I'm talking like 40 degrees Celsius. The only good part is the iced coffee.
Look at all these cars.
We stopped at my local shop Full Cycle because I had some bike parts to pick up. I got these Growtac equal brakes for my next bike build that I'm working on, and these are the same brakes that came on the Bello Orange chassis that I got earlier this year. I absolutely love these, so on the next bike they go as well. Some of the pals wanted to test the Monopole, and I love being able to share the excitement of a new bike like this. So far this one has been all smiles. My next job was to bring these online orders up to the post office. I gotta say a huge thank you to everyone who's placed an order. Also everyone who's tuned in and subscribed. The support honestly means the world to us. In a time where each day can kind of feel more and more unhinged, I honestly think bikes are a big part of the answer. This alt cycling community has kind of restored my faith in humanity to a degree, so I really appreciate this opportunity and trust that everyone's given us to play a small role in it.
I just e-transferred someone for a hot dog on the street, so now we're living in the future.
Welcome to my office. Make yourself at home. Can I get you anything? We're gonna talk first impressions, but let's start with a good look at the bike, starting with the frame. This is a size large. Monopole makes 3 sizes. I'm 6'2", and the large is working really well. We have an all-steel rectangular frame with 2 head tubes, designed for belt-driven steering, big pinion gearbox area. We also have a through-axle fork, fender mounts, kickstand mount, dropper post routing, and we have only 1 bottle cage mount. At first I was kind of shook by this, but I quickly found a lot of ways to carry more water. And also it just looks really clean. With the cable routing so clean down the left-hand side, I like that there's not eyelets everywhere. I also don't know where you'd put a second one. The bottom tube would be awkward to reach. The seat tube would disrupt the frame bag. So the whole bike's on a bit of an angle, as you can see, and I really like this because the weight of the cargo shifts back and then the handling's not affected as much. Also, if you're wondering why the bottom tube is bigger than the others, the rectangular shape needs more strength, but also Monopole shares the same frame with the electric and non-electric version, so it can fit a battery. This one's non-electric, but I think that's pretty cool that it's one frame, electric or not. For wheel size, it's designed around a 24-inch rear, a 20-inch front. Above the front wheel, you'll see the belt-driven steering, and when I first took the stem off, I thought the whole thing was going to slip out, but it's really secure. The belt is also really secure with 2 screws on either side, so it's not going anywhere. Above that is Monopole's platform rack. This is the only one I've tried so far. It's working really well with the crate zip tied to it. I would love to see Monopole make their own crate that snaps on and off easily, because wasting zip ties is a bit of a bummer. Also, there's like a little 1.5 inch space that kind of bugs me, but these work good for now. I think it would be cool to see something removable. And then there's the bottom bracket area. Very different design, made for a pinion. As I mentioned earlier, that's not mandatory. You can run a regular derailleur with a paint match adapter. We'll get into opinions on the pinion very shortly. First, let's talk over components. Starting with the wheels, we have Sun rims and Schwalbe Billy bonkers. These are a 2.0 and we still have a ton of tire clearance, which is awesome. The brakes are labeled 612. I haven't heard of this brand before, but they feel really good. We have beautiful Paul hubs on this build. Moving on to the cockpit, we have a Paul boxcar stem as well. A Chris King headset. I'm usually not a Chris King guy, but the color on this one is amazing. We have Simwork bars. You'll see those 612 brake levers, and then we have the Monopole throttle shifter as well. I'm also running this Topo Design stem bag, which happened to match perfectly. I own this before the bike. We have a Thomson seat post, a Brooks C17 saddle, a blue lug seat hanger, because how else will you know that I'm cool? And that's pretty much it, I think. So my very first impressions, I'm just getting acquainted, but I think I'm in love because this bike is very inspiring, it's very nimble and playful, and it's also very fast rolling. I think the small wheels help it accelerate really quick, but also the steel frame is not too heavy and it just keeps momentum really well. It's a very fast feeling bike. I find the wheelbase to be the star of the show. They set out to achieve two things with the wheelbase. One, to legally fit on the subway train in Europe, it had to be under 2 meters, so they did that. But also it crosses the gap between your everyday bike and your cargo bike really well. It still handles like a cargo bike, but transitioning from my gravel bike is not far off. In the city, it's really nimble. I can go through traffic well, I can ride through tight spaces, but also in my life it's good. In a small apartment, you can do a 180 and get out the door. You can go up and down stairs and lift it pretty easy. I also got it on my car rack and just did a road trip to Toronto, and that worked really well. So I don't think I could do that with other cargo bikes, and that's a really big benefit. For the belt drive steering, I don't have too much to say. I think there's always a bit of resistance with cargo bikes, and I only notice it when I ride no-handed and the wheel doesn't move, but it feels really good. There's almost no lag that I notice. I think the real test would be after a couple of years because it's designed to not need much maintenance as well as feel really smooth. My opinions on the pinion gearbox are mixed, but mostly good. Starting with the shifting, it's almost unfair to call it shifting because you just are in another gear when you want to be. And I mean like hardest gear to easiest. You can just crank it all the way and you're just there. So that's really cool. Especially when you're carrying a lot of stuff, it's a huge benefit to the bike. When you're rolling up on a hill and you want to jump like 6 or 7 gears, it's almost making me lazy. It's really, really flawless. So that's cool. I love the placement of the pinion. I love that it doesn't need a rear hub, and I love that it's sealed too. The few things I don't like about the pinion, number one, how it looks, but also the throttle shifter. I don't like that I have to move my hand over to use it. I'm a pretty playful rider and I could move it out, but I don't want to have my hand on it all the time. I also don't find it feels as premium as the price suggests, so not a huge fan of the throttle shifter. The other thing I don't like is there's this little lag when you put the pedal down. The cranks move maybe half an inch, and it's just enough to notice. We're so used to high engagement hubs these days that when you stand up and you put the pedal down, that little click just gets old. If this was my bike, I would probably try the regular derailleur setup, but I do think that the pinion is a huge benefit to the bike. So those are my initial thoughts. Let me know what you think because I'm obsessed with this thing. I'm annoying all my friends with it and I need other people to talk about it with. So let me know in the comments what you think and we'll get back to the video.
I had one more cargo bike quest to complete, and that was to grab some awkward sized stuff at the hardware store. Nearby is this clothing shop I like, and I had a wedding to attend in the coming weeks, so I used that as an excuse to buy a shirt that I've had my eye on all year. And I don't buy new clothes very often, but when I do, I try to find something that can be an everyday piece and not just for special occasions. I ended up going with this Carhartt Work in Progress shirt. I really like the oversized fit and the construction, but I won't wear these jean shorts that I like to ride in to the wedding, so never mind those. Before we wrap up this video, let's touch on price point and production. I'll keep it quick. The bike is not cheap, but you know what's cool? Cool people. And you know what cool people do? Ethical things. I'm a big believer in voting with your dollars, and Monopole's model makes them a good candidate for that kind of a buy. Monopole are founded under a steward ownership model. It's worth a quick Google if you're not familiar. But essentially, it's a legal structure that separates money and power. I wasn't familiar with this kind of structure before chatting with Monopole about it, but under this model, decision-making powers stay with folks connected to the mission of the business, and it really helps offset the kind of profit maximization decision-making that we see in a lot of corporate structures. Also, with the team being so small and the frames being hand-built not far away, they know everyone involved in every step of the bike building process, something that can be increasingly rare now. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you watching to the end. If you haven't, then you'll never know the bad things I say about you. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing and leaving a comment, and I'll see you next time.